you probably will lose your faith in college. What's up, guys? It's Father David Michael, and I recently heard a stat that I found pretty sobering. I kind of can't believe I'd heard it before. It came from the National Catholic Register. There was an article they put out, and it says the statistics show that an estimated 80% of Catholic college students will stop practicing their faith. 80%. That means that if you raised 5 kids, when you sent all of them to college, 4 of them would stop being Catholic and only 1 of them would keep the faith. Even more, this is even crazier, it says that the figure holds true for Catholic schools just as much as for secular ones. So if you think you're sending your kid off to a Catholic school or you're going to a Catholic school, that's gonna make it way easier to keep your faith, you're wrong. It's actually not any easier than if you're going to a secular school. Really a sobering thought. What that means for me is that people go off to college, they think, okay, I know there might be a chance that I'll lose my faith. No, the chances are way better that you will lose your faith, not that you'll keep your faith. Like, you need to be working overtime to make sure it doesn't happen to you, because if you go in just super open, it's gonna happen to you. You know, it's really sad because people will say college is a time to make mistakes and experiment. Here's what's so sad about that. It's true, a lot of people lose their faith in college, and then a lot of people actually come back and find their faith later. So they think, what's the big deal if I'm gonna come back to the faith later on in my life? Here's the problem. Between the age of like 18 and 25, the college years and the very near college years, you're making some of your most important life decisions. You're choosing what college to go to, what your degree path is, what your vocation is, who you're gonna marry, your friend group, how you're gonna raise your kids. And most people, if they've left the faith during that time, they're making all of the most important life decisions without a relationship with God. So maybe they do come back to the faith later, but they've already made all of these terrible decisions that are gonna make their life so much more difficult. And yes, some saints have had sinful phases of their life, but more people have sinful phases and never come back to the Christian life than people who have sinful phases and do come back. Don't put off becoming holy later on in your life and spend 4 years of experimenting with sin and mediocrity. Go to college with God rather than returning to Him when it's all over. So here are 3 ways not to lose your faith in college. Number 1, recognize that your environment will always overcome your willpower. It's super easy for me to not do drugs because I'm never around people who do drugs. It's so easy. But there are some people in the world who have a really hard time not doing drugs because they're always around people who do them. Purity, drinking, gossip, these are all very environmentally influenced. Who you're with and what you're doing and where you are is gonna make a huge difference. Being holy isn't about enduring the worst temptations. Being holy is about avoiding temptations. Being a trained black belt doesn't make walking into a dark alley full of muggers a good idea. When it comes to sin, seeing how much our willpower can resist should not be our focus, but rather avoiding the occasion altogether. For example, imagine your spouse saying, honey, I love you so much. And I proved it. I flirted a lot with a person I really found attractive, and I was so tempted to go further, but I didn't because I love you so much. You would say, what? Loving me would have been not talking to that person in the first place. That's what faithfulness looks like, avoiding the occasion of sin. So as you choose your environment in college, look for the conditions for the possibility of becoming the kind of person you want to be, a saint. A buddy of mine, Father Josh Johnson, says, avoid the occasion of sin, but also pursue occasions of grace. Your environment will most likely overpower your habits, rather than your habits changing your environment in college. So choose wisely. Number 2, don't just choose friends you like, but friends you want to become like. As they say, you will probably become the hybrid of the 5 personalities you spend the most time with. You notice a lot of time in the church calendar, the memorial of a saint will say Saint so-and-so and companions. There was a leader who was a saint in the group, but the whole friend group were saints. I always think of that as a reminder that whether you're going to heaven or you're going to hell, you're probably going with a group. And it probably looks like the group that you hang out with. Choose wisely who is influencing you. And number 3, decide now who you want to become. If you're going off to college, let's be honest, you have the opportunity to leave God in the dust if you want to, and it wouldn't be that hard. Sure, for the first year, you could go to Mass on Sunday because you don't want to lie to your mom the next time she calls you. But after a semester or 2 of hiding it, fear of your mom won't be enough to keep you going. You'll stop praying, you'll stop going to Mass, and because you feel awful about lying about those things, You'll look for ways to feel good. You'll look for physical consolations, pleasures, sins of the flesh. And that might kind of mess with your conscience a little bit. And you'll have a voice kind of whispering that this is wrong. But you'll be listening to that one friend who's trying to make themselves feel better about mocking Catholic life. They'll say that you just have Catholic guilt, as if the only reason you feel bad about sinning is because church teaching. And at that point, you'll have another chance to make a choice. You'll either realize you need to return to God, go to confession, and reclaim your faith, or you can just go back to that life again. You're making choices that are determining outcomes. And you're not too young to understand this. You can think through these things. You know what's right and wrong. You know that you were made for greatness. You lack nothing right now but God's grace. Jeremiah says, do not say, I am too young. You have the capacity for holiness now, but it will depend on the decisions that you make. So decide today what kind of Catholic you want to be in college. Get clear about it. Who are you going to serve? If you don't want to develop a drinking problem in college, decide that right now for yourself. Don't wait 10 hangovers in to think about it. If you want to become serious about your faith, schedule that. When will you go to Mass? When will you go to confession? When's adoration? What's a quiet place to pray? Is there a Catholic center? Do they have retreats? When are they? The prophet Joshua gave the people a similar challenge in Scripture. He said, if you are unwilling to serve the Lord, choose this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your fathers served or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwelled. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I hope that you choose to serve the Lord too. I hope you found this helpful. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. God bless.